Every child deserves a family free from abuse, and together we can make that a reality. Hello and Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Women Talk with me, your host, Sazzy Falak. Today, I'm particularly excited to talk about today's topic because it's a topic that's not uncommon among us Malaysians, but is most often overlooked. And it's something that's also going to be very personal to me. We are talking about foster care and adoption. And joining me today in discussing this topic, we've got the lovely Datin Elia Lim Abdullah. You are a children activist. You are also the wife of the late Dato' Adnan Muhammad Tahir, who was the founder of Orphan Care.
That's right.
And then we have Elizabeth Hall, image consultant and branding coach. But you are an adoptee as well.
Yes.
You were adopted from birth.
From birth.
Thank you for joining me on this lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
Good, excited.
You're excited. I'm excited to hear your stories. Maybe we can start with you, Datin.
Yes.
Let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about Orphan Care? What inspired you and your late husband to start this organisation?
Wow, it's a long story, but I don't know where I'm. I'll just try to.
Okay.
So essentially, it was mid 2000, like 2005 or 4. We used to go and visit orphanages, especially during Ramadan, and I didn't know what was brewing in his mind, but obviously he had already made, thinking about it. Sometime in 2007 or 8, he came out with this idea that, look, I think we should start, we should have sort of a situation whereby, children can be taken out. But he hadn't actually thought.
The idea wasn't really finalized yet.
And then what happened was the tsunami came in 2004, right? At that time, there was this news that 300 children were coming in from
Thailand?
From Indonesia.
Indonesia, sorry.
From Aceh. So it was actually in the papers, and we just read about it. And then my husband got a call from a friend, and he said, hey, look, there's 300 kids coming into Malaysia. Any chance that we could actually find homes or families? And so, innocent as at that time, we just said, why not? We've got many friends who may, and they can pass on a message. So what happened was a message was drafted out with my number in there, and to call Elia to see, if you
This is for those who wanted to adopt any of the children. So that was kind of like the beginning of...
In fact, that was,
getting
basically the
creating something towards Orphan Care.
Yes, it was a turning point in a way that the tsunami made it all materialize.
Okay.
So, so we've sent out the message, viral, and I got the response was amazing. At that time, 5 pages, foolscap pages of names of people who wanted children.
So when was it when Orphan Care was finally established?
So that actually was the start of it. And then, because what happened was more dramatic, because I got a call from somebody, a person who said to me, hey, what do you think you're doing? This is not right.
So they wanted to make it more streamlined.
Well, I didn't know all that because that person didn't identify. But later on, we kind of guessed that it could be from a big NGO, children's NGO.
I'd love to hear more of your story, but I think I kind of want to, before the segment ends, would you mind if I go to Elizabeth for a quick one?
No worries, yeah.
I was clueless. I was been adopted by an elderly couple. When I was adopted at birth, actually, in the hospital, they were well advanced in years. Adopted father was in his 60s and adopted mother was in her 50s. So I remember the first time I was told when I was 9 years old. So I was playing with my neighbor's daughter. So almost about the same age was with me. And we were playing. I was at their home, and the auntie was an Indian auntie and said, "Hey, kamu tahu tak? Kamu anak-anak."
The mother said that.
The mother said that.
I thought it was the child.
No, it's the mother, you know.
Okay.
And she said, "You tahu tak, you're anak angkat." And at that time, that was the first time I heard anak angkat, the word anak angkat, and I was clueless.
You were
I was
not even
like,
sure what it meant.
Yeah. So I said, "Oh, betul kah? Oh, okay." You know, just like that. And then that evening, I went home and I told my mom. I wasn't even like questioning her. I was like, "Hey, mom, what?" You know, I was speaking to her in Cantonese, and I said, "What is anak angkat?" And, you know, she would say, you don't listen to all this nonsense. Nothing, you know.
It used to be like that, kan, zaman dulu-dulu. Just like sweep under the carpet and talk
don't
about it.
listen to all this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, very innocent and said, "Oh, okay, don't listen." And the second time I was questioned was, I was standard 6. It was a prize presentation for, you know, those top students. I got, can't remember, 5 A's or 6 A's at that time, and those top students have to invite their parents.
Okay.
So I went to my parents. Yes. So I invited my parents, and then suddenly, you know, all the parents seated there, and those, you know, recipient prize. To receive the prize, we were at the backstage.
And your parents were the oldest parents.
My teacher came and said, I said, "Parents, ibu bapa, faham tak? Bukan datuk nenek." I was like, huh? You know, at the age of 12, I was like, but my bapa mak dekat sana.
Did you say that? Tapi itu bapa saya lah.
Tapi itu bapa mak. How can they be your parents? They're so old. And that was, it just sink in. Finally, it sunk in. I was like, oh. And then when I was receiving the prize, I forgot about the happiness, the joy that I was receiving the prize, but I was looking down from the stage, and there my parents were among all the other parents, and they were the oldest.
And they did look
noticeably
they were
older.
old,
yes.
I mean, 60s and 70s.
70s, yeah. So it's like, really, Datuk Nenek? And then that was when I start questioning.
Okay. Yeah. And then did your mom finally admit the truth?
So finally, you know, I asked so many times. I said, "Please tell me." And then she said, "Yeah, we adopted you from the hospital. You were born, and you know your biological parents left you in the hospital, and then we received the news there's a baby in the hospital. So." Yeah, you know, they have children actually. They have 10, but they grew up.
Wow.
Yes, they had 10.
You know, I can imagine. That's my story because my kids are beside. That's why.
Yeah, so they had
son.
10, and they were living abroad everywhere and left the, you know, two kind of like old folks at home, and they took me in.
But something happened after that. But we're going to touch on that after the break. So we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere, guys. Welcome back to Women Talk. So, continuing our conversation on foster care and adoption, before we went on a break, Elizabeth, you were telling that story. Finally, your adopted mother told you the truth.
Yeah.
But it didn't end there.
No.
You were taken away from her. Can you tell us the story?
So, not really taken away, but, you know, my adopted father passed away when I was 12 years old due to a heart attack. And my adopted mother couldn't handle, you know, it was to a sudden death. And then I was sent to another home. Yeah. So that actually changed my life, because the second home that I was staying, it was really abusive. Yeah, so I was staying there from 13 years old to 19 years old, and I experienced all sorts of abuse, you know, physical abuse, even being beaten, hot water scolding, you know, and mental abuse, verbal abuse, and even sexual abuse as well. Yeah. So for 7 years, I was living in that home, crying for help. Yeah.
But they didn't allow. Who was the one who made the decision that you had to go to these homes? Was this in the way of foster care?
So it wasn't like a foster care, because it was like a distant relative, you know, back in those years, you know. Yeah, so it was just no SOP at all. It's like, you know, oh, I can't handle.
There's no system yet.
Yeah,
you know?
no system yet. So then they were just asking around, you know, oh, so-and-so, you know, husband passed away, who can help, you know. This old lady taking care of a 12-year-old kid. So then, you know, I was sent to this home. So it was a couple with already 3 sons at the time when I joined their family. So basically, and of course later on I realized what is the purpose I was being sent to that home, or what is the purpose they decided to bring me home. You know, it's to clean up, to cook, to wash laundries.
Oh my gosh,
and yeah.
But at the same time, a child being taken away from a home that she grew up in and was loved very much.
Yes,
It's a very heartbreaking story. We'll continue with you, but before the break, and I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but I now want to hear more, because you were saying at that point in time you had 300 children from Aceh and you were helping find these children homes.
Yes.
But something happened.
The call, that very important call that came to me one evening was from a lady who sounded foreign. A day after, I got a call from Bukit Aman telling me to go in there. They just wanted to have a chat with me. My husband got a call as well. So we both had to go, and we were interrogated separately, because they wanted to know what we were trying to do. And we said we were just trying to see if there were Malaysian families wanting to adopt.
Little did they know that you had good intentions.
Good intentions, but was not the right way to do it. So at that time, we didn't know about human rights, children's rights. So anyway, after 4 hours, we were
4 hours.
Yes,
oh my gosh!
And it was really grilling. So we left, and that was when my husband said, "Gosh, there's so many people who want to adopt foreign children.
That was the turning point.
Why not our own children?" So that was when he turned the whole thing to let's look into all the orphanages in Malaysia and see what we can do. Work with the government and probably, do something to get them adopted. And that's how it all started for orphan care. That's
I see. And then baby hatch as well.
Well, at the same time, he had already thought that, because during that time, 2004 to 2006, 2007, things were happening outside. There are a lot of babies being abandoned. They were just left to die, or left in dustbins.
Those are the stories that kill
So he was very, very concerned about that, and he even did research on it. And finally, we presented to the government.
A lot of teenage mothers, they have no outlet to go. So that's why a lot of newborn babies ended up
by reputation, or being worried about taking care of reputation.
So they dump the live baby. They are still alive, all these babies, into trash. So I believe, Baby Hatch is really good initiative. At least they have an outlet. Okay, I was sent to these places, and they can be assured that the baby is safe.
Yes, exactly.
How many babies have been put in baby or was saved this year alone, Datin?
Well, gosh, the numbers have
We're
increased.
only in June, guys.
We've had
June, July.
Just from the end of last year till now, I think we've had about nearly 100 babies saved. So it has been, the whole office, very excited. They say, "Oh, we are raining babies." But for the first 10, 12 years, very cautious. People were still very, careful. They don't know where the baby is going to go. So, but now I think the awareness has really seeped through it, and it's really good. So
and they have that trust in orphan care.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go for another break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Women Talk, and continuing our conversation on foster care and adoption. Elizabeth, so you were telling that story. You had to move to another family and you were abused from the age of 12 till 19. How has that impacted you in life?
It was difficult, it was painful, and I actually ran away from that home when I was 19. I bought a one-way ticket to all the way up north to Penang, and that's where I'm based right now. And I thought running away from that home is where I'm free. But it's actually not, because of all the abuse and all the lies that have been, so in my mind, like, I'm a burden, I'm good for nothing. And words is so important, Now that I look back, I always encourage parents, even not your own children, be careful of the words that you sow in the
Words
kids.
are very powerful.
It's very powerful. And I lived throughout my adulthood, really thinking that I am good for nothing, you see. So at the, it was from 19 to, I think I was struggling up until 38 years old. And finally, with the support.
Psychological damage you had
It
to
was
really
damage. It destroyed my marriage. It destroyed, I have trust issue. I don't trust people. I prefer not to build deep friendship with people, because at the back of my mind, somehow I know that people will abandon me because of the experience that I've gone through. So this really, an evidence of how a child grow up really impacts their future. All right.
I look at you now and you're amazing. Your energy when we first met in the makeup room is just so... I mean, obviously, because you've gone through that, and you did some work. You did some work to kind of get up from that psychological damage. Yeah. And for those of them who are feeling the same way you are, or who had gone through similar journeys, what would you like to say to them?
I always have two things to leave, to people around me. First thing is, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, all of us.
We're all unique.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Fearfully and wonderfully made. And God never made a mistake. He made us with a purpose. All right? So this leads me to the second point. That is, do not listen to the external voices. Listen to within. All right?
Beautiful.
Take time, take effort to discover who you are. Find your real identity. Not what the past have determined who you should be, or what, the pressure of the society pushes you to be. Find who you are. Right,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderfully said. Thank you for that. Okay, Datin, I want to ask you. So, can you talk us through the process, okay, maybe for baby hatch and as well as orphan care, in wanting to go, if there's a parent that wants to adopt through orphan care? And maybe we'll start with that first.
Okay, so when the baby hatch started, we knew that we were anticipating babies. So at the same time, we would, let people know that they can apply to orphan care to have babies. But in the early days, there was not many cases of babies being left in our hatch. So our list was really long for parents, and then they had to wait.
Parents who wanted to adopt children.
Yes, who wanted to adopt had
but
to
not
wait.
Enough babies.
Exactly. So it has taken us up to about 12 years before people get aware in Malaysia, and then they start to come to us. So essentially now we have this huge database of parents who want to adopt. So they apply, and then they've got to fill in like 32 pages of application forms. Very, very tedious, very taxing. And some people may just give up halfway. And those who fill up, then we will set a date for them to interview them. And it's a very thorough interview whereby we go through very personal things. And we need to know why they want to adopt. If it's for medical reasons, then we will also need to know. We need some statements from doctors and all that.
This is just doing proper background check.
But you have to.
Yeah, in a way, it is check on their their health and all that. So,
you want to make sure that this baby goes to a home that,
it's healthy.
It's healthy.
Correct. So once that's done, then they need to go for training.
Okay. The parents.
Wow, we call it the potential adoptive parent training, and that's compulsory. And if they don't go for that training, then they're out of the queue. So at that one-day training, which is really not sufficient, this is where we touch upon many topics that are relevant to them, because a lot of them come to us wanting to adopt for very good reasons. But they don't understand that abandoned babies have got issues, as what Elizabeth says, and these issues must be known. And so we make them aware that, hey, when you adopt, you have to understand
Yes.
what comes with it.
Because even though it happened to them when they were a baby, but they have left that the feeling of abandonment stays with them.
Always stays
It's
with
inside.
them.
Yeah.
It's inside.
It will always stay with them. So it will pop up one day when you least expect it, and then you'll know. Then you'll realize, hey, what's going on? You know, you've been loving the child so much, and suddenly the child plays up.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we warn them
You're
of the
readying
trauma.
them for that.
Yeah, and they're undergoing trauma, which is very, very serious. As we all know, trauma is something that is within you, something that happens inside you because of something that happened to you.
Well, I'm really glad that Often Care is doing this.
You know,
because
yeah.
it's a lot of things that we normally don't discuss about.
Yeah, but we have to be try to do the best we can. So, but it's still not enough. You know, we need to do more for the child and for the parents. So, whilst we train the parents, we too need to ensure that everything is in order. Like the homes, we do inspections and all that, pre and post. And we have a monitoring and evaluation period, M&E we call it, and whereby we monitor them for 2 years. That's all we can afford to do. But
that's what I went through. I had to go to JKM, Majikan, so I could only foster my son for 2 years, and after 2 years baru boleh
officially
then
adopt.
officially adopt.
Right.
Yeah,
So
but
and then you do that. Okay.
After the adoption, we monitor them.
You still monitor after the adoption.
The first,
it's 4 years.
2 years is by JKM.
Yeah.
But we are in the picture. But when after the adoption, when JKM has, they've gone to courts and everything is done on paper, and you are legally the adoptive mom, then
You still check out.
we will still monitor them for 2 years.
That's good. Okay, so for those of them who are interested to check out Often Care, obviously you can just Google it and look for Often Care online, so that if
Yes,
should
we have
anybody
a
want to get
website.
involved, or you're looking to adopt, or just help out another couple or parent, go check out Often Care. Thank you so much for being with me on this show. It's been lovely hearing both your stories.
Thank you for having us.
I'm sure the audience agree with me that we've not heard enough. Well, unfortunately, we have to end the show. So thank you so much to the audience for watching. Don't forget to leave some comments on our social media page on Instagram, Women Talk TV3. See you guys next week.